So the latest American dream is Portugal, the Portuguese citizenship, the Portuguese passport. And the best thing is that you can actually obtain this without physically being present in Portugal for too long. It's almost literally next to no physical presence needed. Now, this is an extraordinary passport, not just that it's strong, but it also has the full freedom of movement within Europe. So it's not like going visa free to Europe. You have residency rights inside of the EU Schengen area. So that makes this a vital option. The quality of life is better than in some of those Western countries today. The affordability is a lot better, right? You can afford twice or thrice as much in Portugal as you would afford in a country like Australia, Canada, or US. And the people are nice, the culture is nice, and you have beautiful exotic beaches. So you have great quality of life at the fraction of the cost, and it only makes sense. And that's the reason why this is an American dream. Now, before I get to the Portuguese passport, how do you get this citizenship? Before I discuss that, there's something very important and better than the Portuguese passport is the Mexican passport and the Mexican citizenship. The biggest reason why Mexico makes a lot of sense while you're working on your Portuguese option is because Mexico is next to home. And I'm going to discuss a couple of ways where you can directly get the permanent residency in Mexico. Now, if you don't get the permanent, that's fine. You can easily strike the temporary residency as well. That also gets you the citizenship at the end. So there's not a big difference between getting either or. Of course, you want the permanent eventually. If you can't get it initially, you're anyways going to get the permanent towards the end if you apply, right? And then you're looking at that powerful nationality. The reason why Mexico makes sense because Mexican passport is stronger than the Portuguese or the American, Canadian, German, Australian, any of these passports. And first, I want to explain why the Mexican passport is stronger. Now, a lot of these rating companies, right, they look at the visa-free access and then they claim that a certain passport is strong. They look at a Japanese passport or a Singapore passport or an American or German and they'll rate it 1 to 10 and they call those as stronger passports. But the key thing to remember here is that if there's any record that comes up on your name, right? Let's say you file your taxes incorrectly and that's seen as willful, then you could have a criminal record in your home country. Let's say it's an accidental situation or someone planted things against you, or let's say your state has gone rogue and they just make up their own rules. A lot of countries, sometimes this retroactive application of rules can create a record. And once you have any kind of bad record on your profile, and things can go wrong anytime, right? Smart people doing business, wealthy people exactly know this. Once a single mistake is registered, then half the countries are not going to allow you to enter on the visa-free access. That's where you want critical citizenships, right? Critical citizenships like, let's say, a North American citizenship. So Mexico is the best option. A European citizenship. So you have the freedom of movement. Once you have an EU passport, you're secure with 27 vital and important countries. So you want an EU citizenship, a North American citizenship, an African citizenship, and an Asian citizenship. Once you have a passport from all these continents, you're secure for life. Even if there is a record, your mobility is not affected to a large extent. Now let's come back to the Mexican option. Here, the best thing and the reason why I keep talking about this so highly is because you can obtain the card, whether it's permanent or temporary, you can obtain the card in a single day. And there have been some recent changes with the way the immigration office is functioning. Now we can take the appointment for you well ahead of your time. So if you know when you're coming to Mexico, we can block the dates accordingly, and that way we have your appointment scheduled. We'll set up everything so that you arrive and you directly obtain your benefit on the same day. And at any point you want to get started with the Portugal or the Mexican option, you know what to do. Click the link, book a call. We can discuss which one is the best. Maybe both work in your case and get you started. Now with Mexico, as you know, there are a couple of ways. One is you show monthly income or you show your bank balance. If you're looking at the temporary, then you're showing 4.5K of monthly income for the past 6. Otherwise, you're showing a bank balance of $70,000. So there are two ways, and $70,000 has to be shown for 12 months. And let's say you're doing the permanent, then it's the 300K of bank balance that you need to show. And then for monthly income, you're looking at 7.5K USD, and you can choose which one you qualify. You can obtain the Mexican residency, and then after being on the permanent residency, you can apply for your Mexican nationality towards the end. There is a minimum physical presence for citizenship, but there is no physical presence needed for maintaining the temporary or the permanent. So this is a lifelong, solid, rock solid option that every person should have in their portfolio. And when I say this, this is just my opinion. This is not immigration or legal advice, but our attorney, once you sign up, can help you throughout the process and guide you from start to finish. Now let's come back to Portugal, the essence of this video, the dream, right? The dream, the American dream is the Portugal option. And this is a beautiful exotic passport. So you want the green passport, you want the red passport, and then you're set for your life, right? You have the blue, you have the green, you have a red, and you have covered a lot with these options. Now in Portugal, a lot of people still don't know that you don't actually have to contribute 500k euros to get the golden visa. Now let me explain the residency requirements here, right? So for the golden visa, there's 7 days of physical presence each year. You do the 7 days for 5 years, and then you apply for your citizenship. Now for the capital requirements, you're looking at 300k euros of initial hold-up capital, right? Now if you're working with a developer, or let's say a resort or a hotel, then they contribute up to 100k euros towards that bucket, right, that you need to collect. So that 100k euros contribution is your profit paid to you on day one. And then they also would contribute a mortgage that you can add. So it becomes 200k euros now. And then obviously you have your own capital of 300k euros. You lock in the 500k euros in this fund. It's a hospitality fund. And after 5 years, this is released. You get the 400k, which is 300k in your initial capital, the 100k on top, which is your earnings. And then you're released from the golden visa, you jump on the permanent residence, you apply for your citizenship. And then one of the beautiful things that happens here is that you can also avail yourself and your family a 60 days of luxury 5-star accommodation in a top hotel in Portugal, and this can continue for 5 years. So even if you calculate the value of this benefit, it's a decent option. It's a very good, solid, enjoyable package for you and your family. And this is not an opportunity cost, because at the end of the day, you're earning 100k euros to show for, right? So if you put 300k lock-in capital, then you're getting the 100k euros, and you're also getting the nationality, effectively free nationality. So you're earning money, getting a solid nationality. And what's very, very important is that you're getting the permit, the EU Schengen permit. Now with this permit, you can do all those things that you would otherwise do with a passport, right? Of course, you cannot vote in elections, but you have the full freedom of movement across the 27 Schengen countries. So you have a very powerful document, and this can be paired with any of your other nationalities as well. And then once the 5-year clock strikes, you can apply for your Portuguese nationality. That way you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You can run the Mexican in the background. You have the Portugal in the background. You're physically living in maybe a third country where you're earning a citizenship. And there are some other options in Europe that can be structured, right? They are not officially advertised as golden visas. There's a lot of structuring that can be done. There's also what is called as citizenship by exception. And practically speaking, the 2 countries that often get mentioned are Mexico, right, through exception, and Serbia through exception, because the thresholds are not as crazy as some of the other European EU countries. EU countries are going to go crazy with that stuff, but some realistic countries, you have an option. So if you have the skill set, and if you're willing to be innovative, thinking out of the box, then those are options that you can consider. And it's not for everyone, but for the right kind of people, this could be useful. And before you go, if you aren't yet subscribed to the channel, make sure to turn on the bell notification and hit that subscribe button, because here I cover latest updates across any of the programs. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, and catch you in the next one.